So let's start with the context. Right, the hype is still out there. It started quite a while ago with the old article by DJ Patel and Thomas Davenport, where data scientist was declared the sexiest job of the 21st century. Continued on, and by the way, you know, there's reality to it, because if you look at things like Glassdoor, which runs surveys, 2016, 17, 18, and 19 keeps coming out to be the best job to have, both from a compensation perspective and a quality of life perspective. Actually, often when I look at these surveys, I ask the question, what are the worst jobs to have? And care to guess what the worst job to have? Actually, this was 2016 and 2018. What do you think it was? Professional jobs. What's that? Federal government. No, actually, it turned out to be tax accountant for some reason. Anyway, so it's getting a lot of attention. A lot of people talk about it, and a lot of people are interested. Now, you look at things like Kaggle, and you say how many people are kind of analytics professionals who belong to Kaggle, and the growth rate has truly been astounding, right? And every year I look at it and I say, well, it's not going to grow much more the next year, right? We must have saturated. I actually said that in 2016. I said that in 2017. And I'm not going to say anything in 2018, because it just keeps going, and I don't know where these numbers are coming from. Now, to go to Kaggle, you have to have something to do with analytics. You can't be just any random individual, right? You're trying to do something serious with analytics. You're trying to compete. You're trying to look at results, etc. So it's not a bad indicator, right? We did another study where we went on LinkedIn, and we kind of looked up members by capability targeting, right? So we listed all these capabilities on the left to kind of say how many people claim this capability. And we got something like 26 million. By the way, this is up from a year and a half ago or more, where it was, a lot less. So it's growing dramatically. And if you go by title targeting, right, people who call themselves data scientists, analysts, etc., listed here again, and we'll make the slides available. About 1 million plus members, right? So a significant community. So we asked the question, how many data scientists are in the world, right? I actually was curious about this. And according to the co-founder and CEO of Kaggle at the time, this is, I think, before the acquisition by Google, he estimated there was about between 1.5 and 3 million, right? So my first reaction was like, wow, that's quite a range. 100% variance, if you like. But what's interesting is if you dig in deeper in the statistics, and again, the ranges are wide because people don't quite know, right? But these statistics are coming from interesting places. 200,000 to 700,000 new grads in the field, in the global job market. In the US, there's belief, I think this is IBM, US data professional will increase to 2.72 million openings by 2020. Openings, right? This is not people, these are job openings. And annual demand for fast-growing new roles, data scientists, developer, and engineers in the US will reach about 700,000 openings per year, right? Despite this, there is still a skills shortage. The top emerging jobs, kind of by growing numbers, the top one is machine learning engineer, that's growing 9 times over a smaller base. Data scientist is growing about 6 times over a pretty large base. In terms of estimates, McKinsey forecasted the US could face a shortage of 150K to 190K people with deep analytics skills by 2018. LinkedIn in 2018 did its own separate research to verify it and came up with 151K. So McKinsey was right on in this case, right? Again, this is this is the shortage, right? This is basically how many more open positions there are than candidates available for these positions. So it's pretty scary stuff when in the US you have something like 150K shortage. This is a recent study put out by, this is Quant Crunch. I found it interesting because they kind of break down the two dimensions by projected growth versus hardness to fill. And what is interesting is data scientist is top right corner, right? So it's definitely, according to a lot of communities, the hardest kind of role to find, the hardest role to fill out there. We mentioned this before, the 150K plus shortage. Remember, this is 150K more job listings than there are candidates looking for those jobs, right? Year-on-year increase is 2x. And big data and analytics is the scarcest skill, according to KPMG CIO Survey. Difficulties in hiring and matching, 82% of data scientists posting require 3+ years prior work experience, which means it's a higher bar than normal. HR recruiters do a lot of pre-screening and cutoff, etc. And the recruitment processes are lengthy. We'll talk about those, and we'll talk about the problem posed by these. So what we have is basically unmet demand, right? And difficulty to actually fill those positions, right? Which explains these gaps that are actually growing.